Mr. Glen Suitor. Hey, what was your favorite Beatles song? We're talking about how yesterday was the anniversary of the death.
The actual song yesterday, but there's a yesterday too.
John Lennon was shot back in 1980. I thought it was today. I was wrong. My Google's wrong. I think I got a different Google. But what's your favorite Beatles song? I like to talk music with you. You know this.
Oh yeah. Oh well. There's first of all every year. When on the anniversary, or I guess that's not the right way to say it, but when John Lennon was shot, my buddy there, who I traveled to Europe with last year, we were in Liverpool. We made a point. We're both huge Beatles fans. He's a pretty good singer, so when we play guitar, we try to play like Blackbird and Yesterday and some of the songs from the Beatles. And he's a pretty good singer, so that's what we do around the campfire a lot. That's one of the iconic statues of the four Beatles in Liverpool down at the pier, if you're watching the feed. And so every year we have a glass of wine and toast John Lennon, one of the founders of one of the greatest bands of all time. Went to the Cavern Club, of course, while we were in Liverpool, where they got their start. But to answer your question, Barney, like Hard Day's Night, Yesterday, Sure, Here Comes the Sun was fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the harmonies and Help. And the backup vocals in the song "Help," "Let It Be." How could you not? I mean, "Let It Be" is huge.
Tugs at the feels. Want to hear? While we're here, and it's just three of us talking, no one else listening. Here Comes the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
First time we ever pulled into St. Andrews, our first trip over to Scotland to golf, raining all the way from Edinburgh. Rain, and then you pull up, and it's just a big park, like the golf course, and there's a rugby pitch there. And then the ocean, we're saying almost fire. They record it.
Mm-hmm.
We pull in, and then the sunshine came on, and my buddy's iPod just happened to play "Here Comes the Sun."
Really?
Is it just meant to be? Told my wife, I'm like, well, I got to go back. If things like that happen, you got to go back more than once or twice.
Total karma. You got to go back. How did you play that? I bet you shot like a nice round that day. I get sucked into, Barney, like if that, and by the way, if you look at the Beatles library, there's almost a song for every situation you can find yourself in on the planet. I mean, their library is something else. So yeah, it's what was it, 50 years ago yesterday that Lennon was shot?
1980.
Well, I'd be 45.
80. Okay, well, before we get to the schedule, let's play Pump Jacks Cathedral Trivia with you. You're going to know the answer to this, but let's play it with Glen Suitor online. Who do we have?
Jeff and Regina.
Okay, here we go. Intro.
It's time for Sports Cage Trivia for Pump Jacks. Great food, cold local draft, and a place that feels like home.
All right, Jeff and Regina, are you there? You're on with the professor and Glen Suitor. Not everybody gets to say that on a Tuesday.
Hi, guys. Thanks very much. Thank you. Hi, guys.
Okay, we're paying for $100 to Pump Jacks Cathedral today, Jeff. You're going to have 10 seconds to answer the question correctly. Here is the question. When was the last time the Saskatchewan Roughriders played a preseason game in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan?
I believe it was 1991.
Jeff. Take you 2 seconds. You got it. Good job, Jeff.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks so much, guys.
Have you been to Pump Jacks Cathedral yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, it's going to be, Colson's going to take your information here. If you like dry ribs and draft beer, that's my thing. You're gonna love it. The food's great. Stay on the line, Jeff. Thanks for playing. Just like that.
Great. Thanks very much. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. $100 to Pump Jacks Cathedral, 13th and Albert. Pints, ribs. I don't know when the next time you're coming into town, Glenn, but I could take you there. We could go for a twirl, solve some problems. Play the jukebox.
Been there, love it, love to go back. So I'm in. Count me in on that for sure. We'll probably walk in and they'll be playing a Beatles song.
I was going to say, you and I around a jukebox could be dangerous, just going back and forth. No, play this. No, play this. Okay, the schedule, though. What jumps out at you when they released the schedule this morning?
Well, first of all, it looks really balanced. I have a couple of small things that's a bit of a pet peeve. When you're talking about the rider schedule, I think they're they have that bye in the first week. I think that's always an advantage for teams to take a look at the other teams. Now BC does too, and they play BC in their first regular season game. So that doesn't really give them an advantage over the Lions and a chance to look at them for a real game on tape. So but I think there is a little bit of an advantage for teams that get the bye in the first week to get things started on the right foot. So there's that. One of my, I don't know, I'd call it just a bit of a pet peeve is that I really think the season should start with a Grey Cup rematch. I just do. But that's, part of it for me, guys, is the TV angle, because from a TV angle, if we play the rematch of the Grey Cup to start the season, we can say the last time we saw you in the pregame show, this is what happened, this is what went down, and basically remind fans of the championship game and how exciting it was, and Trevor Harris's performance and all of it. And then we can say, and now here's the rematch. We start the 26th season, but that's not going to happen. Riders don't play Montreal till October, I think.
That's right.
The other one that's interesting for me was that there's 4 games on the same day. I don't remember a time.
1995.
Yeah, and so 95, that would have been U.S. would have been involved in that too then, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I looked at that and thought that's going to be a little bit of a logistical challenge from a TV perspective. They have, 4 different crews, 4 different trucks, TV trucks, all the cameras that are necessary. It's going to be.
Can I call a game? Can I do play-by-play for a game? It'll be really unorthodox, I'll tell you that much. There'll be a lot of slang.
Nice throw by Trevor Harris. Hey, did you guys hear the Beatles song "Help"? You remember that one?
Yep.
One of my.
Yeah, help to Barney. No, Glenn, I was just going to backtrack. You played in that last preseason game that was played in Saskatoon. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we love Saskatoon for training camp, for sure. And early in my career, even well before 91, we would play 4 preseason games, and in fact have an inter-squad game with no kicking game against the Bombers. Usually in Brandon, I think we would play that game. But lots of preseason back then, but we had 110 guys on the roster in training camp. So that's also changed in a big way. Very little contact in camp now, which is a good thing in a lot of ways. But I don't remember the game specifically, but I do remember fondly all of training camp in Saskatoon, how the city's always there. They're watching practice. The facilities at the university are fantastic. And it was just a great sort of way to start your season and go out and compete with all those fields that were spread apart back then.
I thought that the back-to-backs against Montreal late in the season were unique.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that rematch earlier, and that would have been a week 1 game for me. But here's the other thing for the Riders and their schedule. You don't have. I think there's only 1 short week. In other words, the prep days for Corey Mason, this team will be consistent at 6 or 7, and at sometimes 8 days in between games. So that's important. You don't want to get caught up in too many of those short weeks. I think to open at home is excellent because you can do the banner stuff and defending champions until we play the Grey Cup again in November. On November 15th, I believe it is.
15th, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they'll play BC 3 times, Edmonton 3 times, and Calgary and Winnipeg in the division just twice. So, yeah, I like the balance for the Riders. I like the bye in week 1. I think that gives you a little edge to look at all the teams before you actually go play, or most of the teams anyway. And only from a player safety position, only 1 kind of short week, I believe, is what I counted anyway.
And it's interesting because it seems like the Riders of late have been playing the last game of the regular season in the CFL, and their last game again, Saturday, October 24th, Edmonton at Saskatchewan. And so there's no cold weather games, even across the prairies at all in the regular season anymore. I mean, October 24th is not winter yet. And so they're really trying to get into better weather conditions, it seems like, Glenn, and going forward to 27 when the Grey Cup goes even a week ahead of the 15th this year.
Yeah, and it's a good point, and that bumping up I think is a good thing. I know there's some concern at the front end that you'll compete with the Stanley Cup playoffs. However, I would say starting our season and competing with NHL playoff hockey, I don't think we need to worry about that. People can tape it, watch it later, whatever. I would be more concerned to have a playoff game like a West Final up against something, real big, and often it is against baseball. But, I don't worry about that as much either. The other good thing for the Riders guys is 4 of the first 6 games are at home. So they get a chance as defending champions to be in front of that great crowd and get a real good start to the season. A couple of those games are going to be against the West. So it gives them a chance with a bye week in week 1, and then 4 of the 6 to start the season at Mosaic Stadium. That's a pretty good schedule. I wouldn't have too many complaints if I'm Corey Mace right now.
Yeah, it's interesting that the first 2 weeks there's 3 teams on byes, both week 1 and 2. So they're sort of showing, we know it's early. We're going to have 3 teams on byes the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's some interesting like that 4 games in one day. The bye week. We're starting the season with 3. Of course, we're going to have the World Cup, so that's going to change the dynamic in a big way. I'm telling you right now, I have a few requests that I always make for schedule. I don't really get a chance to pick my games. It's more complicated.
Come on.
No, I really don't. There's two standing requests for me for TSN, and
Labor Day.
In Labor Day, as many Rider games as possible because I love going back to Sask.
Your buddy's here.
Yeah, and often doing some other things like talking to kids or whatever it might be. So I'd love to go back. So I always ask for that if it's possible. The other is for this year would be those back-to-back in Kelowna's for BC. I'm real interested to see. Like I would love to go up to Kelowna somehow, do the game, stay there the week, and then do the next week and see if I can pull that off.
Oh, that was such a brilliant.
About that, guys.
I thought the Lions were brilliant to have those 2 games at the Apple Bowl. I thought that was a stroke of genius, and what the Lions did there.
I don't want to say I called it early, but I was like, why wouldn't they play in Kelowna?
Smart. Very good.
It makes sense. Okay, because we're going to run the Craig Reynolds today, we don't have a lot of time. We got like a minute left here, Glenn, but I just want to get your thoughts on they announced it today, and I'm sure maybe it was done a couple days ago, but again, Jamarcus Hardrick is coming back for another year, and then also Davis Alexander, who was good until 2027, they re-up him until 2028. Just maybe a minute on both of those.
Yeah, and Cody Fajardo also signed.
Yeah, Cody too, yeah.
We talked about that last week, Barney, about Cody, and I mentioned that he really wanted to play again, so not surprised there. Great to get Hardrick back. I mean, there's your anchor you can build around, and playing at the top of his game. I don't care how old he is, he's at the top of his game. And for Davis Alexander, they believe they've got the next great player there, and there's a lot of ways you can make an argument for that, and they want to lock him in as long as they can. So again, not surprised to extend it, and it's basically the organization saying this is how much we want to make sure you're happy, because I'm sure there was some good money there, like Nathan Rourke probably level.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, we get more time on Thursday. I love these lyrics. JoJo was a man who thought he was a loner. Buddy knew he couldn't last. JoJo left his home in
Tucson, Arizona.
For some California. Okay. What? Grass. Everyone, he's a horticulturalist. He liked Bermuda. See, he could have learned some things, Glenn, from your front lawn out there.
I need his help. I need his help with my.
People that don't listen to the show very often are like, what are you talking about? It's such a good joke. All right. Chat with you Thursday, buddy. See you later.
Okay, see you guys.